What's up, chat? How's it going, everybody? It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical today. Thought it would be a good time to do some old school meta review. Talk about some X1s, some interesting armies that are doing well in the metagame currently. I was popping through some recent results. I saw some interesting ones. The first one was a little bit of a resurgence of Adeptus Sororitas, which I was a little surprised about. Kind of come out of the woodwork there, but a lot of players doing fairly well with Adeptus Sororitas this week. We also saw some really spicy results. Stuff like Salamanders at X1, which I'm kind of into. I know y'all are excited about that, so that should be fun. But that's what we got going on today. Talking about some cool lists that are doing well. It was, I think, on the whole, there were a couple of big results this weekend, but on the whole, it was kind of a little bit of a slow week for competitive play. Death Guard are kind of like hammering the metagame right now. And I think that is, I don't know. It feels to me, and maybe this is just me, but it feels to me like the dual World Eaters Death Guard release was kind of sort of a lukewarm reception. Because it seems like Death Guard are really good, and everyone's like, wow, aren't Death Guard really good? World Eaters, not so much. World Eaters are sort of mediocre and aren't really accomplishing anything right now. They just sort of like released to a big nothing burger of a drop. And so it feels like there's like a little bit of a loss of momentum, I guess, that people had after like the Grotzmas and the March releases. And so maybe Thousand Suns will alleviate that a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know what they can do to sort of alleviate that, but I haven't. I mean, the Space Ghost drop will probably change up quite a bit because we'll probably see Space Marine, this sort of Space Marine internal metagame, change or get shaken up. But until then, people are kind of like hanging out. Yeah, so let's dive in. I want to talk about the Salamanders list first, chat, because I think it's cool. I'm a big sucker for Salamanders. Anytime I'm like, what army should I play? And I'm probably like, it's probably Salamanders. It most likely should be Salamanders. Let me grab the event. So we saw it at the Maryland Open. Sean Olsen, undefeated with a Firestorm Assault Force. Of those green boys. Maybe I'm a little biased. You think I'm biased, chat? Maybe a little bit? I don't know. Probably not. I think it's probably just professional curiosity, right? There's no way that I could be biased. Been trying to make Firestorm work for so long. Yeah, it seems, I don't know. I think it's probably been crept quite a bit. Like the Ultramarine build is like so crazy. But I guess part of the benefit of Salamanders is that you can you almost get 2 oaths at a baseline if you have Trigger Vulcan's ability, because he's going to grant you wound rerolls. You're getting +1 to wound because you're a Codex compliant Marine chapter on something else. As long as you don't necessarily need wound rerolls or hit rerolls on the Vulcan's target, you can kind of get 2 oaths, which means as long as you're doing it with torrent or with high accuracy weapons, you're probably okay. So like I'm sure incursors help. Obviously you can do things like get Infernus Marines and Land Raider Redeemers as well. I want to play them with Melta spam, so like Stormspeeder Hammer Strikes and Invader ATVs. I think is cool, like 3 of each, and you get the full reroll multi Meltas, and you just MSU your opponent into oblivion. I think that would be neat. It's probably a pretty cool way to play, but we'll see what Sean is playing here. 3 Vindicators. Oh, just for like backline? Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the problem with Space Marines is that you start to like build, I think, any Space Marine list, and then you slowly get it, like it slowly becomes an Ultramarine list, and you're like, man, instead of these characters, I'd be better off running Marnius Calgar. And then you're an Ultramarine again. But as long as you stick with the chapter, you can make some fun stuff happen. So we played Adrax, a Champion of Humanity Lieutenant. That's ignore modifiers, I believe. And I don't know if it is restricted. It is all characteristic modifiers and any modifiers to roller tests made. Woo! For 10 points, chat. This is what you get when you play non-standard stuff. You accidentally remember that one of the best enhancements in 40k is a 10-point enhancement in Firestorm Assault Force. Ignore all modifiers and tests and test results, excluding the saving throws. 10 points for the entire unit. Not just for the character, for the whole fucking unit. So no Armor of Contempt. No damage reduction. No stuff. No other stuff. That does work that way, right? Did they actually I'm second guessing myself. I think that it works that they specified what model characteristics were, but I think that there was an FAQ on characteristic modifiers, and if it doesn't specify whether it works on weapons, then it does, I think. Because that wasn't the case in the beginning, and then they said it was. Hey baby, can you not scratch my chair, kitty? Ignoring modifiers. When an ability allows you to ignore modifier to a unit or model's characteristics, unless specifically stated otherwise. This allows you to ignore modifiers to move, toughness, save wounds, leadership, objective control, range attacks, ballistic skill, weapon skill, strength, armor penetration, and damage. Let's go! Let's go! That also means they can't be battle shocked. They don't lose OC for being battle shocked because you can't modify their objective control characteristic. Brother. It's the funniest thing about early release 40k stuff, right? Because there's no way in hell that this would have been printed now, right? Like, they're too gun shy. They're like, guys. Everything has to be we have to walk everything back a million times. But this is just fucking ignore literally everything. It doesn't say, well, you're not battle shocked. It doesn't say profile characteristics, but modifiers. It says all modifiers. That's so fucking funny. Well, you can't put it on eradicators. That's important. It's only Tacticus, which is why it's probably one of the only reasons it's okay. But that still lets you do, like, you can get like Blade Guard veterans with ignore, like AOC and damage reduction. You can get Hellblasters with ignore damage reduction. All that stuff is amazing. Damn Legion, what's up, my guy? How's it going? Oh yeah, too bad it's Tacticus locked. Yeah. If you can, I mean, I don't even know. Like, I guess like ignore half damage or whatever, right? But if it's an eradicator, I think you're hoping to just be killing them anyway, because you're gonna get the damage bonus and blow them up. What a fucking enhancement, chat. Combi Weapon Lieutenant, Vulcan Heston. What is happening? I guess you can also, if you're like playing Razorbacks, dude, this. Oh, I think I love this list. You can attach, I believe. I'm gonna double check that this is correct. But you can embark Tacticus characters into Razorbacks as long as they attach into a tactical unit. Yes. Yeah, it's the same for... I know that's true for Rhinos. It's the same for Razorbacks as well. So there is a potential... I don't think that anybody can join Devastator squads. But you could be in like Malta teams, I guess, Malta combat squads. So double Razorback Rhino, triple Impulsor. Also, we're playing missiles on the Impulsors, not shield domes. I love it. Impulsors are only 80 points. Is that true? In my head, I had them at 90. Is that good? 80 points? It's like 5 points more than a Rhino, and you get firing deck 6, and you get a missile launcher on top. The missile launcher is one shot strength 8 AP 2d6 damage. That's whatever. All right. I saw some people running the Iron Hail array, which is I guess it's only sustain 1. I thought it was twin linked. Isn't it literally 2 stubbers taped together? This is fun because we get to talk about units that we never do. Show me an Impulsor, you internet. I searched Impulsor and it showed me Gladiators. I guess because it's the same chassis. That's annoying. Yeah, so the Iron Hail Skytalon array is literally a twin link stubber. But we're not going to give it twin linked? Okay. I mean, I guess. What a cool little tank. Look at this little guy. What a fun little guy. I love him. And then we have triple jump back assault intercessor, 6 blade guard veterans. So I imagine. So if I had to guess, oh, we are running Devastators, chat. I love it. I love it. If I had to guess, that's where Adrax. Where does this lieutenant go? It is a Neo Volkai pistol storm shield lieutenant, so he's a fighty boy. He could jump into Infernus Marines, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he's gonna hop into the Blade Guard veteran squad. So we could dual attach into the BGV, so they get reroll hit rolls of 1 on themselves. Full wound rerolls from Adrax. Ignore all modifiers from the lieutenant. Lethal hits. And you can +1 to wound them for a CP. You can lance them essentially, but it's better lance because it doesn't require you to charge in Firestorm Assault Force. The one downside is that their AP is not that great, but if you can't Armor of Contempt them, that actually doesn't matter that much. So this unit is actually like fucking horrifying for what is relatively inexpensive on a baseline. It's like crazy damaging. And then Adrax with hit rerolls, as long as he can confirm that he hits with his hammer, he goes insane. Adrax is like so insanely powerful. People get surprised every time they see this guy on the table because his profile is like unbelievable. It's like a new Space Wolf profile almost. He's like the OG Arjak Rockfist. Strength 10, AP 2, 3 damage, ability, full wound reroll. What the fuck? What is this character, dude? And it's so funny. He's also 5 wounds, the base 2+ armor save because he's a salamander, so he's like randomly doesn't die to stuff. Adrax is wild. And a D6 +3 shot flamer. Can we look at Cody's demons? Yeah, we can take a peek after this. Adrax and Vulcan are so underrated. Yeah, I think Vulcan is basically the he's basically the like sub-faction ability, right? You just like assume that you have Vulcan and you're like, oh, that's cool. We can get rerolls on Torrent or Melta weapons. And then he has a bunch of extra shit. Like, to be honest, most of this stuff is kind of superfluous. Maybe I'm a silly goober, but it's like whatever. His melee profile is like weird. It's a spear, but it doesn't have lance. Like, I don't know. It's strange. And then like he has this weird a bit like OC ability. if you're running these like little Infernus Marine squads, this ability is actually relevant, which is cool. So that's nice. And then he can like point at a thing, and then you shoot it with a bunch of Infernus Marines, and that's like pretty neat. But like, I don't know, he's mostly here to like blow people up with melted weapons once per game, or twice per game, or a couple of times per game. But then the actual bonus to play this sub faction is fucking Adrax. He's incredible. He's like one of the best characters in the epic heroes in the Space Marine Codex, and never ever sees play because Ultramarines are so popular. OC, feel no pain. It's so the OC and feel no pain thing is good. There's a couple situations in which is good. It used to be good in Pariah or in Leviathan when you had the mission where the players set up the objectives, because you would always set up an objective like there would always be one, depending on how your opponent wanted to set things up. But there would always be one that's like just outside your deployment zone, like a very like extremely natural expansion, and then being able to sit like to target that objective with Vulcan and then sit on it while being out of line of sight was fucking amazing. No one could ever take it from you, which was incredible. And then you could do like weird hijinks to like hop him in and out of the building to use his ability. The other thing is now in Pariah Nexus, it's good if you can keep him alive until the end of the game, because then as long as you can keep him in striking distance of his marked objective, you're automatically guaranteed to bottom score that. Basically, because like he auto sees everything. So I don't know. It's not bad for sure. Especially if you can like keep an impulsor alive, and then you can just like get him into a pulsar and then run and advance and disembark and just sling him onto an objective. That's very good. Survive most clapbacks. Yeah, so he's in a company hero squad in this list. So he is there's a little bit of Marnius Calgar energy. Like he's not the hardest thing in the world to kill. I think people overestimate how hard he is to kill. Like a 4+ feel no pain feels like it's a really big deal, but when it's only affecting 5 T4 wounds, it's like kind of whatever. But if you have to chew through the -1 to be wounded, it is relevant. So I don't know. Having played a lot of Vulcan in 10th edition, this ability is like a nice bonus, but it's kind of, for the most part, kind of awkward. It also it gets to open the funny question of whether or not you get to resolve the ability while he's in a transport. I believe the answer is yes, but it's never been clarified, because like you can't quote do anything when you are in a transport, but this isn't an activated ability. This model doesn't use the ability. It's a passive thing that occurs. It's super weird. You have to expose him anyway to trigger the rerolls. Not necessarily. So the fun wombo combo, if you've never played Firestorm Assault Force chat, is oh, actually it doesn't. I don't think it works in this list. It actually doesn't work in this list. All right. It works with Land Raiders or if you have Vulcan on his own. So I always played Vulcan by himself. And the reason for that was in Firestorm, you have what's the name of the stratagem? You have the stratagem Rapid Embarkation, which works at the end of any fight phase. The only restriction is that you can't use it on a unit that disembarked to transport that turn. So what you do is you start Vulcan on the table, you advance him into a position to use his ability. The shooting phase, you use his ability, and then you run a Rhino 6 inches away from him. And then at the end of your turn, you use the strat to hop out. Or to hop into the Rhino. So you can run Vulcan into the middle of the table, use his ability, they then jump into a Rhino, they kill the Rhino, you disembark somewhere else out of line of sight. And then alternatively, if they attack the Rhino, you could use the reactive strat to disembark him and then do it again the next turn. So there's like it's like it's such funny hijinks. The annoying part, and I imagine if Salamanders get a re-release in 10th edition, this will change because we'll probably get a new Vulcan. The annoying part is that he's awkwardly not Tacticus keyworded. So he can't go in Impulsors. So if you attach him to a company hero squad, this is why I never played company heroes with this guy. If you attach him to a company hero squad, he can't go in any transports except for land raiders, because the company heroes can't go into firstborn transports and he can't go into Primaris transports. So it's like, I guess raiders, like land raiders and Impulsors are the only options, which is like fucking wild. But he's not awful by himself. It's not like he just, immediately dies. You're not going to kill him with indirect fire or whatever. So he'll just wander around for a while. You definitely played that wrong. Oh no. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird keyword thing. It feels a little bit like playing Astrabilitarum. We actually had a game on Twitch the other day where my opponent caught himself out after the game, but we didn't catch it on the stream. But I was playing against Astrabilitarum, and their order situation was so complex that we both just forgot who could order who, and we ended up doing it totally wrong, and it ended up swinging the game. My opponent offered a concession, but I gave him the win anyway. But it was a Cadian command squad having lost all of the veterans besides their banner bearer out of a unit that included both them and Ursula Creed inside of a Cadian shock trooper squad. And then the shock troopers were dead and the commander was dead. So you were left with a single guardsman and Ursula Creed, neither of which could receive orders because Creed is non-regiment character and the individual guardsman's also non-regiment infantry. And this kind of feels like the same thing where you're peeking through for one specific keyword on a unit that probably should have it. And you're like, where is it? He doesn't have it. Fuck. It totally changes how he interacts with the table. It's wild, dude. So, the other way works with rhinos, but not impulsors. Yes, that is correct. So, if we look at impulsors, and it also doesn't work that a firstborn character attached to a Tacticus unit can go into a rhino. It only works that the Tacticus character can go in. So if we go to transport, it is specifically Tacticus or Phobos models. It is not. If you do not have those keywords, you cannot embark. Full stop. Period. If you're in a rhino, Tacticus can only embark if they are a character and if that character is attached to a firstborn unit. It doesn't work the other way around. A firstborn unit with a Tacticus character, a firstborn character in a Tacticus unit cannot embark into the rhino either. The only way it works is if you have a Primaris character. So the rhino's got 11 little seats and one big seat. And so only the one Tacticus character guy can go in. That's all they have room for. And anyone else they kick out. The company heroes try to go in, and the rhino driver's like, no. We only have one big seat. We can't fit you all in. And they're like, we'll lie on the ground, we swear. And he's like, no, unacceptable. It doesn't help that searching for keywords is generally a nightmare. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. It's like infantry squads joining Cadian command squads in index days. Oh my god, we had that come up on I think in Battle to End Alzheimer's, and I had to go talk to the head judge and be like, hey man, what do you want to do about this? Because this dude clearly didn't know that he has what was the situation? What was the situation? It was a squad, and he could only, or it was a Cadian command squad, and I think he was trying to attach it to Catachin Jungle Fighters. But you have to have specifically the Catachin Jungle Fighter command squad now. But yeah, it's like this. It was like the same deal. Yeah, and I mean it's come up multiple times. It comes up constantly. I think, I hate this about Astra Militarum. I think Astra Militarum are like a mechanically degenerate faction simply because of how difficult their keywords are. Like, I don't have a problem with the abilities themselves. I have a problem with how restrictive they are. Because it's too complex to keep up on in a turn-to-turn basis. Like, as a board state is shifting, like trying to keep like which of your individual infantry is or is not regiment, like infantry models is or is not regiment keyworded or squadron keyworded or officer keyworded or whatever, is fucking unbelievable. And it almost certainly will get messed up at least one time, like every game or so. It's just bad. It's bad. It's not designed well. I think I'm like in favor of Astra Militarum orders just like targeting whatever. And like, I understand like that was the problem. Oh man, Bulgrid are too good because you could order them. I don't know, dude. I don't give a shit. If I have to constantly remember which of my characters can or cannot order the Bulgrin squad because of the exact keywords that each of them can like possess, just let the fucking officer order them, dude. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. It's frustrating to play both with and against. Because as we just talked about, like a Militarum player can be totally, on the up and up, right? Like they're not trying to get one over on you or whatever, and they'll just fuck it up because it's so difficult to keep in mind at the time. I don't know. I just think it's too complicated. This is called 39K Pro Chat. It's fine. It's just like a rules reference that I think it data rips the 40k app. It's missing a bunch of stuff, like abilities and stuff will just get cut off because I don't believe that anyone edits it. I don't think like anyone actually curates it. It just copies and pastes like the text output from the app. It's like fine. The big benefit is that it's super fast because there's no pictures or anything. Wahapedia is nicer looking, but it does get a little slow sometimes because of their ad policies. So I recommend this app. I don't know. I'll put a link in the chat. It's fine. I don't want to say that like I think you should use it all the time because it's actually a kind of a poor rules reference. But like as we're just showcasing random stuff, I think it's okay. The chaos is complete if you add a sprinkling of battle shock. That's the other thing. The timing is like so important, but nobody wants it to work that way because the order turns off if you're battle shocked, but you issue orders in the command step. So you issue your orders and then you battle shock, and no one fucking does that. They go like, oh, I'll roll battle shocks and then I'll issue my orders. And you're like, that is probably how it should work, but also is explicitly wrong. And like, you're just cheating if you do that. And like, I know you're not trying to, you're like trying to like, do it in the way that makes the most like cognitive sense. But no, in fact, you can't have the information of whether or not you've battle shocked at the time that you issue orders, which is like so fucking wild, dude. I don't know. It's not well designed. It's bad. It's a bad design. It's a cool faction, though. Like, I don't know. I think that Militarum's in a really interesting spot. That's another faction we could talk about quite a bit if we wanted to today, because there's a bunch of Militarum right at the cusp of doing well. They're not like overpowered. They're competitively viable, but yeah, I don't. Just playing it on the table kind of sucks. Makes you feel bad when the Rogaldorn suddenly hits on 5s. I know. The Rogaldorn commander, though, I had my first experience with that guy the other day. The fact I thought he had a floating reroll. It's a floating hit, wound, and damage reroll. I was like, what? You get 3 of them? Oh my god, this guy fucking rules. Let's go. So yeah, that's a long-winded discussion about this really, really, really cool Salamanders list. Called it friendly salamander hugs. I think we're being particularly unfriendly. So we have 15 OC2 Infernus Marines and Impulsors. So the Impulsors can advance and disembark them to steal objectives. So you can put 10 OC plus potentially an Impulsor on an objective from super far away. Then they disembark and they shoot. You could potentially be getting full rerolls on the gunshot. You get Razorbacks with fire support. So you have 3 units of Devastators that, if you oath the target, get hit, wound, and rerolls and +1 to wound. Potentially also +1 strength. So the output from those Devastators and an auto hit. So you roll your 8 shots with multi-meltas, reroll, so you're averaging like 6-ish hits. One of them flips to an auto 6 because you're a Devastator squad. So you have 7 hits, wounding on, at worst case, 4s, but potentially 3s, full wound rerolls. That's if you oath the target. That's fucking so much damage. At AP 4, D6 +2 damage potentially. That's crazy, crazy damage. The first time I played this Razorback combo, when I was doing Battle Company play with Salamanders, people were like fucking shocked. They were like, I thought Firstborn Marines were dead. What is happening right now? And then like 5 dudes would kill a monolith. And you were like, yeah, that's average though, actually. That's average dice. It's crazy damage, and that's not even including, like, that's not even doesn't even need Vulcan to pop in there. And then you also get the end of turn embarkation. So if you're not using it on Vulcan, which we're not doing in this list, the Devastators can run, hop out, shoot, full reroll, like blow a bunch of stuff up. If you don't kill them on the crackback at the end of the opponent's turn, they get back into the Razorback and recycle and do it again. So it's potentially repeatable. And if you're throwing like 6 units of Space Marines in your opponent's face all at once, the chances that they kill all of them are very low. So you potentially get that Devastator's like combo a second time, which is like insanity damage. The downside is that most of it only works within 12 inches, but it is relatively fast, right? We're like running a bunch of vehicles at you. So yeah, I don't know. I love Salamanders. I think this list is fucking awesome. Plus, then we have this like just this like super hardcore anvil unit to just blast people. We're missing the Land Raider Redeemer, but you know that's okay. We don't need that. Infernus with OC2 just jumping out to flick objectives is great. Yeah. So I'll be honest. I made a video about Salamanders a couple months ago when I did like how to start, and I wasn't even thinking about the OC2 Infernus. I think it's pretty good. I think if you're like a newer player, it's probably hard to get use out of. But if you are experienced with like how to play these like offensive units, it's actually really, really strong. I think they're great. Land Raiders in the shop, yeah, until it goes down in points. Redeemers are like so toxic to play against. I don't feel bad that it's like really expensive because it's like so good, but they have nerfed Marine defensive mechanics enough times that it might be okay if it came down like 20 points. Invader ATVs are also ridiculous. Yeah, advance and shoot permanently, and then like strength 10 meltas. Yeah, they're strength 10 by the way. Once they get to within 12 inches, the melta guns. It's crazy. It's crazy damage. 105 point jerk with flat out -1 to be wounded. Yeah, well, so there's like a cutoff there. The -1 to be wounded isn't the part that gets me about company heroes. It's 4 wounds per model. That's the part that like blows my goddamn mind. Like, why is that unit 16 wounds? I don't understand. But the -1 to be wounded thing is they have like a very clear like cutoff. If you are toughness 5 or higher, that bodyguard ability, so like the new Space Wolf Terminators, right, are the perfect example. The new Space Wolf Terminators are T5 and say if your strength is higher than their toughness, your -1 to be wounded. If you are T4 or lower, so I believe that Sacrescents do that, which we'll probably talk about in a sec here. So like T3 or T4, you are flat -1 to wound if with this like bodyguard effect. I I'm sure there's another T4 one somewhere. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. Do Gene Stealers have one? I think they give them their spells feel no pains. We talked about them on stream yesterday. Off the top of my head, I don't remember any right now. What about Hearthguard? Those are if your strength is higher, right? Yeah, strength is higher because they're T6. Oh, Mechanicum. Mechanicum has a T3 one. It's Fulgurites. Yeah, -1 to be wounded. So T3 or T4, you get flat -1 to wound. T5 or higher, you get the worst version. And that's like the cutoff, right? That's just like how they've written it up. The funny part about company heroes is the insane number of wounds that they have. 4 wounds per model is like nuts. It means that heavy infantry killers like plasma cannons, like 3 damage plasma cannons, which are designed specifically to kill this unit archetype, don't work. It takes 2 activations or 2 conversions to kill 1 model versus 1. And it means that you have to chew through like so much damage, so many wounds with the -1 to wound. Like all of those other units that we just talked about are all 10 wounds, 1 wound per model. These are there's 4 wounds per model, 16 total wounds. So like the amount of damage you have to deal to get rid of the -1 is like insane. That's the part that gets me. This ability is not the part that gets me. Even if they didn't have this ability, the unit would probably still be playable because this like number is so crazy. Thousand Suns Terminators are -1 wound. Oh, that's they just have the flat version. Maybe they just wanted to do that because they were bad. Where's my Thousand Suns Codex? I've lost it. Oh, I got it. That's actually interesting. Scarab Occult Terminators. I went to the dumb sorcerer. Yeah, you're right. So Scarab Occults, I guess, break the mold. They care about psychers more than characters, but the effect is the same. This unit's so hard to kill. They had to do something because they were like, they just didn't do any damage previously for their points value. You're like 40 points a model for a dude with a Stormbolter. And then like one guy got a fucking missile launcher. And you're like, all right, man. But at least making them like a hyper tanks is unique in some way. All is dust. Yeah. We were talking about this faction yesterday. I'm trying to get excited about them. I'm going to play some games with Thousand Suns. I'm trying to get excited about them, and it's like not working, man. I don't know. The change to Kabbalistic rituals is like it's killing me, I think. Should we talk about we wanted to talk about demons, right? What was the request to talk about demons? Cody. From Mayhem. I'm in Maryland. Here's Mayhem. Cody Drake lost in the final round. Amelia Pollard went 5-1. Dude, she's a killer with Tyranids. Hot damn. Came out of nowhere. This is a cool thing that I noticed. So in the last couple weeks, the number of people that we've had on stream and that we've like talked to, or I've talked, I don't know, I'm using like a royal we. The number of people that I've had on my stream or that I've spoken to in person who have said, hey, I'm brand new to GTs is fucking inspiring as hell. The level of like the huge growth of the competitive community is so fucking rad. And I think Amelia is a good example of that because I think she's only been playing for like a year, she said. So like the number of people who are like brand new, like jumping into the game recently is incredible. It's so cool. I love it. I love it. Dangora and vehicle detachment. Yeah, I played the vehicle detachment. I don't think my list was that good. I mostly spammed vehicles. I probably should be playing Rubric Marines just to have more like offensive stuff. But it ended up playing like fine. Like the damage output was good, but it was like inconsistent because if you just flub your rituals, like you die. You just don't do anything and you die. And that's the part I don't like about it. Like so much of the codex, and it might be different if we play like some of the like Mutalith Vortex Beasts and the stuff that can make your rituals more consistent. And I'm a little worried because I think we might be back to the point where like you have to play Magnus and you have to play like Demon Princes or something in order to ensure that you get your rituals off. But the rituals are so inconsistent. If your opponent like pressures you and then you flub rituals and take damage, the game is over. Like you just lost. Like if I don't get a temporal surge that I need, or if I don't get a twist of fate in order to like kill something big and scary that my opponent's like about to kick the shit out of me with, like GG, I guess. I lose. Like the output of the faction is not statted. It's like statted with rituals in mind. And if you don't have the rituals active, like, you're dead. So like it feels like you have to be playing the stuff with casting bonuses. And then you also have to like not get like just spiked out by dice. And that's like, it's like a game. I don't know. It's like a super like anti-player design because you have no control over like what your rituals are going to do or how often they're going to go off, which is super obnoxious. Which I don't know. I don't love that. Zangor detachment looks okay. Yeah, I think it looks okay, but it looks okay because it's good at scoring. I don't know if it like, it's not like interesting or whatever. Down to 3 casters. Magnus next to a Vortex Beast guarantees 2 casts. Yeah, but my problem is that, that's first of all, that's like a third of your army, right? 600 points, so a little bit less. It's like 585 or whatever. And then also in order, like you're likely taking damage on Magnus in order to ensure that you get that. So my army ability costs 600 points and damages those 600 points in order to use it. The fuck is that? Or I could play Space Marines and I just get the reroll one and I basically just like get another effect because of Oath of Moment. Like, what am I doing? You know, I don't know. It's frustrating. Playing with them, I was like super unenthused. I was like, this is kind of dumb. And the fact that like Temporal Surge, the result is like random, is like super obnoxious. Like, yeah, and 25 CP, yeah, for sure. I don't know. GW has a problem with making rules extra power. They assume you have them and lower everything else. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I mean, ideally the design is like you should be above average power when you have all your abilities active and like marginally below average because then like the combination gets you to average power. And I don't know necessarily if like I think Thousand Suns do have good output, but I don't know. It just sucks that you can't do it. Make it simpler and add a psychic phase. Yeah, what if like you could make those? So like hear me out, chat. What if rituals you were like much more consistent? Like let's say you could command reroll your ritual roll, and you had like a bunch of bonuses to get them off. So like most things had like +1 to cast the ritual, and like. Maybe you could add some like enhancements that were like roll an extra d6 or something, you know, like, oh, get an extra +1, like change the dice result or something like that. That'd be cool. But then in order to offset like the fact that the rituals are more consistent, you give the opponent a way to like stop you from casting the ritual. So like maybe if they have a psyker within 24 inches when you cast ritual, maybe they can do a test to try to block you. like based on your roll. That'd be pretty cool, I think. And then the other cool thing you could do is like you could make the Thousand Suns rituals like extra cool, but then you could add rituals for other psychers. So you could have like, if you had a Space Marine librarian, imagine if that Space Marine librarian had like a different version of like Doombolt, and they could do like some mortal wounds like based on the number of models in your unit or like based on your toughness value, and then they could make a ritual roll and try to get that off, and then you could try to stop it with your psychers. But like if you're Thousand Suns, you probably get like bonuses to stop their powers too. So then like you have to play this game where like your psychers have to be like try to judge the 24 inches between each other and like threaten where they can deny each other's powers. Wouldn't that be a cool system? That'd be cool. And they could add like a whole phase, like maybe before shooting phase to do that. I think that'd be really neat. And then you could also make like the really psychic factions like Eldar and Tyranids. You could give them like really powerful Kabbalistic rituals that they could do. And maybe Tyranids could have like like make you get minuses to cast your rituals if you're like near them because of the Shadow and the Warp. And then instead of doing this weird battle shock thing, that could be like a real big part of their army ability. I think that would be really cool and interesting. I think that'd be cool. That'd be a cool system. They should try implementing that sometime. Want the Silent King get a 4+ than I? Dude, I'm in. I liked the fucking Silent King being anti-psyker guy. That was cool. You had to play around him. You couldn't necessarily like guarantee you psychic debuffed him. That was neat. Just make Gloom Prisms better. You can make Gloom Prisms instead of like an anti-cast bubble like in 12 inches or something. Make them like actually a deny. That'd be good. Maybe you could have the literal floating brains do something. Yeah. Maybe they like you got a bonus for like all the guys that you put together in the unit.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. I feel like since I like 9th nids. You'll either need extra psychers to shore up your casters or invest in units to stabilize casting. Neurothrop.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable comparison for sure. The difference is that like Tyranids could do it for a couple hundred points, and Thousand Suns are in like most of their army to do it, right? No 4+ than I, but it was a strat, and it created like interesting stuff. I don't know. I remember I played Chronos back in the day for Tyranids, and they had a super weird 4+ than I. Their 4+ than I was used before the power gets attempted, and it reduces the number of dice that you roll when you cast the psychic power. So it was like really punishing, but sometimes if you had low casting value stuff, you could just like power through it. Which I thought was really neat. And then the cool thing was setting up situations where you could get that off. So you would like screen with Chronos units to try to extend the 4+ than I into positions where like the caster had to go in 24 in order to cast their spell. I don't know. It was like really cool. It was good. It was a good mechanic. Turns out when they like spend 3 editions like fucking designing around this mechanic, they do a pretty good job at it. Frustration. 9th edition Nids was OP good. Yeah, I mean for sure. At release they were stupid dumb at release. I liked at the end of the edition. I think they were really cool because they had nerfed all the really stupid stuff, and you had to get really really zany with them to get like good results. Like you could play the Leviathan Warrior things, but everything was expensive. But like I played fucking Tyrant Guard for a while. I played Screamer Killers. You could play like a weird shit. But most factions could do that back in the day because you had custom sub-factions, so you could build around almost anything. We got our 9th edition nostalgia out, and we got our Tyranid complaining out, all in one go. We're filling out the TacticalTortoise livestream bingo card like right as we go right now. That was, you don't consider that Tyranid hate? All right, I'll save it for later. Talk about it later. Rather have an extra 3 Zangor Shamans than take Magnus? No, I think you take the 3 Zangor Shamans and Magnus. Zangor Shamans I think are really good. I think I think you just take Zangor Shamans, honestly. Necron hate speech? Do I hate Necrons? According to the community, I hate Adeptus Mechanicus. That's the one people always get me hating on. I guess I do dislike Necrons. I just don't like the feel bads when your opponent rolls a bunch of field out pains and then regenerates their whole unit, and you're like, well, on average dice you're dead, but I guess I lose now. It just feels bad, but I think Necrons are largely fine. I like vehicle Necron lists. Like the big silly vehicle Necron lists are my favorite. I think they're cool, and that's what's good in Necrons right now. So I think that's neat. I secretly hate Knights the most. I don't even hate Knights. I do recognize that the faction's like not the greatest game design ever, but I'm not like, there's people like the conversation constantly happens in the Discord about like whether or not they should be a faction. I don't know. I don't really feel one way or another about it. I would prefer that they had like more units, like more unit options, like smaller knights and infantry, like repair guys, utility stuff, and then it's not just like, hey, here's like fucking 100 wounds with a T10, and you're like, all right, well, here we go. I would play 3 DDA and 3 obelisks. I played 3 obelisks for like a whole fucking tournament, dude. I played 5 cube for ages. So like literally, yes. Yes, I played triple monolith, double obelisk, I think, for an entire tournament. And I think we actually won a game. I just rightly hates Castellan robots. That's true. They're so fucking bad, dude. Castellan robots are worthless trash. Yeah, I don't know. Sheriffs, peasants, dudes, follow them around. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it, I think, a couple weeks ago. When we talked about the Knights previews. But like, I think it would be cool if they had like, what if they had like load lifter exosuit guys, right? Like the dudes who like, who's putting the bullets in the Knight? It's probably a guy in a big rig that like loads bullets. Like, give me some of those guys. Let's mount heavy weapons on them and make like a Brokir Thunderkin equivalent, right? And then you can have infantry, but it's not really infantry. It's actually like a 4 wound Centurion equivalent. And that's like Knights themed, right? And then you could have like little mechanic guys, you know, and you could have like servitors and shit. Like, you know, where is that? It literally doesn't make sense that Knights are all by themselves. Like in universe and from a mechanical standpoint, it doesn't like track. So like, give us some other models. I don't know. Forklifts. Yeah, bring back Sentinel load lifters, but only for Knights. Eat your hearts out, fucking Astra Militarum. The Sentinel load lifters are not for you. Had to face 3 Necron Star Shatters in Maryland, but each had progressively more Wraiths. Yeah. Wraiths real good, turns out. Make a unit that's fast, high OC, and literally impossible to kill. It's a good unit. All right, chat. Should we talk about this demons list? They also get the +1 to hit. Yeah, I know. They're really good. I made a whole video telling everyone to buy Wraiths to play Star Shatter Arsenal. I think it's the most... There's like a conversation whether it's Wraiths or Awakened Dynasty. But I think or whether it's Star Shatter or Awakened Dynasty, but I think it's like the most new player friendly detachment that Necrons have. Awakened Dynasty like requires that you play like the character mechanics with a lot of the character mechanics, but Star Shatter is like point buffet dude profit. I had to fight a Hierophant. Did you kill it and then win because it's half his army? Fucking Hierophant, dude. All right. Cody Drake played Chaos Demons in Shadow Legion. What is this fucking shit, dude? So it's Be'lakor, Bloodthirster with Fade. So the Fade Thirster guy can go into reserve and he's fast and he does all the stuff. 3 Great Unclean Ones, one of them scouts. So they're T13. If for somehow you get strength 14 or higher, they're -1 to be wounded and have a 6+ feel no pain. And can't be shot outside 18 inches because of Be'lakor. And then we have a Lord of Change. So this Lord of Change is curious to me because we see him a lot, right? This isn't the first time we've seen this Lord of Change get played. With Malice Mate Manifest, so he has the -1 OC aura. I'm gonna fact check myself and make sure that's correct, but I'm pretty sure it is. So he can fuck with people's oh no, this is an entirely different thing. Start of the fight phase, 6 unit with engagement range and a 2+ is it for D3 mortal wounds. They put that on a Lord of Change. It's good at extricating himself. But I guess this guy is just he's just here for the ignore cover strat. Because you can dual use it with a Shadow Legion and Heretic Astartes unit, so you can get it on your Havocs and on the Lord of Change at the same time. And then like he can ping himself out of combat with the enhancement for 25 points for that. Usually it's Mantle of Gloom is the -1 OC. That's often what we see with that guy. But for 300 points, we're taking a non-Everstave Lord of Change. But it's Guos though. So the combo is that we can ignore cover on the Lord of Change for a CP. We can sustain D3 the Lord of Change, and then we can -3 your toughness characteristic. So he's base strength 10. And then if you're reducing toughness characteristics, he wounds Land Raiders on 3s. At AP2 ignore cover. Which is good, I guess. That was like, we played a whole list built on around that combo. We played the Bird Flu list. And this is basically like Bird Flu 2.0, I guess. The enhancement's really interesting, but maybe that's a points filler because the points get weird when you take literally nothing but big idiots. And it helps him if you're like he gets engaged by some like random assault intercessors, which can really fuck with him because he's like not that good at fighting his way out of melee. And then we have 2 units of Havocs. This list is fucking wild. Like, what's your utility in it? I don't know. This Great Unclean One. I guess I'll just like fucking deep strike that guy and do a containment with him. What are you gonna do? Kill him? Adorable. That's amazing. That's amazing, chat. So much flesh to carve through. This list fucking rules. Triple Great Unclean One is chat as fuck. I think also it's probably one thing that probably I think is like flown under the radar too is the change of the Great Unclean One to strength 10 base. They used to be strength 8 because they could toughness drop you, and they were always kind of an infantry sweeper. So they take double sword and blade. So they have like potentially like 13 attacks in melee. Or for 15 attacks, I think, when they sweep, and then plus a vomit. So they had like it were good at killing infantry, so their strength didn't really matter that much. But their strength is always like basically 1 to 2 artificially higher because of their ability to reduce your toughness. So their change to strength 10 means that they wound potentially T11 on 4s and T10 on 3s, which actually makes them legit at killing like medium weight vehicles. And then if you add that on top of that, you can lance them and you can stack the -1 toughness aura. So you can get them to like start wounding T12 and stuff on lower numbers. Oh, no, sorry. Then the unit goes like wild. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's rad. It's uncongested. Somebody told me that yesterday too. I'm not congested, so I don't know. I don't know what's up. I've like, it's a little dry in my area. I have like a little bit of a sore throat, which might be why. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just how I sound. Lost this in round 2. Never been more taken aback. Yeah, we saw actually a build that was similar to this. I think it didn't have the Fate Thirster. It didn't have the Lord of Change, but it had 2 knights in it. was the flip? So it was like 4 T13 bodies, just like stat check the fuck out of you. But yeah, I mean, Grid and Clear ones I think are probably like wildly underrated. This list is also probably good. It's probably viable in Demonic Incursion too, because you get better up downs in Demonic Incursion. You get less shooting. Like the Lord of Change becomes better, and the Bloodthirster obviously is probably not worth it. You take Scarbrand instead. But you can redeploy these guys like everywhere, so they can legitimately be utility where they like show up in your backline and they're just like, I'll 6-inch deep strike in your deployment zone and do something and then come and take your home objective the next turn. So you have to like constantly be screening them. But this version, it just makes them super hard to kill, so that also helps a lot. And buffs their melee output a little bit too. Yeah, this is rad. I fucking love this. It seems like demons there's still a Shadow Legion build, which is taking almost entirely utility. It's like 18 Screamers, a Cursed Cultist, triple Raptors. And that list is very good. But it feels like other than that, demons have almost entirely moved into spamming Greater Demons. Because that's where Demonic Incursion's at right now. It's like 5 Greaters. Obviously, there's this. That's a million Greaters too. And if I'm being honest, that's the coolest way to play demons. So let's go. Yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, that is a cool list. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out, Chip. Should we talk about Adeptus Sororitas? I kind of want to talk about Adeptus Sororitas. Are there other cool demons lists, or are they regular boring demons lists? This list has a demon prince in it. Logan Funderbunk. This is a real name. Oh, it's Funderberg. I read that as an N. I read that as Funderbunk, which would have been good. Yeah, we already talked about salamanders for a really long time, actually. We talked the fuck out of salamanders. If you go to the beginning of the video, you can hear the salamander discussion. No Bellicor. Is this pure corn? This is pure fucking corn, chat. Bloodthirster, Demon Prince, Scarbrand, Skullmaster, Skulltaker. So no Bloodmaster. The corn demon generic characters are the funniest names. Like, he takes like interchange skull and blood and then put a suffix on it. That's everyone. So Skulltaker is the attachment for the blood letters. Skulltaker himself fucking owns. So if you can get him, he's like the perfect, like, we want to talk about combat slingshots. Skulltaker is maybe like the best combat slingshot in the game. His unit gets +1 to charge. In Demonic Incursion, it's really easy to deliver because you just 6-inch deep strike them for a CP, make a 5-inch charge. You have 10 mooks in the unit to ring the enemy, and then Skulltaker goes wherever the fuck he wants. He is 6/2/3 precision, and gets full hit rerolls into characters, and gives his entire unit devastating. That's less relevant because they don't have wound rerolls. They actually used to, but they lost that. So this used to be a better ability, but now it's not so much. But that's like fine. But you're swinging potentially like full rerolling up to theoretically 7 attacks at 7/3/4. We don't have a Red Master. This is an all corn list and we didn't take a fucking Red Master. Logan Funderburg, what are we doing with our lives, my guy? I don't understand. But he could get an extra attack from Scarbrand if his unit's nearby. Is the answer. But yeah, he hits like a truck. He's not super expensive, and he can get UCP. Yeah, I don't know. He's pretty cool. He's a cool little guy. He's no Adrax, but he's a cool little guy. Bloodletters, triple blood crusher. Looks like the full 18. Hot damn. 2 flesh hounds and a skull cannon for a little bit of shooting. This list is wild. This is an insane list. Just like hyper pressure. With 1 million cavalry models. Yeah, not a single Renmaster. That blows my mind. I'm actually shocked that we're getting like value out of Blood Crushers with no Renmasters. But honestly, Blood Crushers are like they're the benefit is that they do mortal wounds, right? And then they like tickle you for a little bit of damage. And then they just like they absorb table space. So like I guess it's not the end of the world that we don't have any little guys. Well, I'm glad we clicked on that list because that list is actually insane. That is a wild demons list. God, demons are so cool, chat. You can play fucking anything you want in that faction, and you can find a way to make it work. Demons are the only like 9th edition faction left. All right, we wanted to talk about Adeptus Sororitas. Let's go find some Adeptus Sororitas. I looked through a bunch of events, and I noticed that there was a predominance of Sisters of Battle in the X1 category. And I just have to remember where I found them. I should have taken notes, is what I'm learning. Oops. I clicked on the same event twice. All right. Well, let's dive in. So Grampian Gaming Guild had a Sisters at X1, lost in the finals. So went undefeated up until then. Also, look at these scores. Had 186 game, and then out of the round 2, quarters, and semis, dropped 9 points. And then lost on a 69, which is really a win when you think about it, you know? This was indeed the Grotsmith detachment. So Champions of Faith, the brand new one, the Sacrosanct detachment, which is good to talk about because I actually have literally no idea what it does. So in your command phase, you can discard up to 3 miracle dice. For each dice that you discard, you can select an Adeptus Sororitas unit from your army. That unit becomes righteous until your next command phase. While it is righteous, it gets +1 move, +1 leadership, +1 ballistic skill, and weapon skill. If it is Battle Sisters, Sacrosancts, or Paragon War Suites. Cool stuff we can do. +1 strength and AP. 6-inch pile in or consolidate. That's a good ability. Hot damn. -1 to be hit. Fallback, shoot, and charge, and lethal or sustained hits. So we have a lot of like potential wombo combos out here. +1 strength and AP. Gets Sacrosants. We should probably talk about the Sacrosant profile. Oh yeah, we're running triple Sacrosants. Let's go. And I like that this we talked about this a little bit because we saw some, I think there were some hallowed detachments that were running this, but I like this new like hyper aggro assisters build because I think it plays like in a really interesting way. So Sacrosants, we talked about them a little bit before because while they have a character, they're -1 to be wounded. So they're a 3+4+ -1 to wound. It's not the hardest thing in the world to kill because like dedicated infantry sweeping will still kill them, but the -1 to wound makes them a little bit tougher for a lot of attacks. It makes them like the equivalent of often like T4 or 5, which actually is like not too bad, but they're still only 1 wound, so they will die. It's not like they're invincible. And then they have the choice between a 1 damage halberd, which is higher strength and AP with sustain, or a 2 damage mace, which is lower strength and AP but lethal. What did we take today? I think the halberd is like a good break point. We run them with maces. Interesting. Oh, we ran a mix. Double mace squads, 1 halberd squad. So we had 1 strength 5 AP2 unit that's a little bit better at infantry sweeping, and then we had 2 mace units that punch up a little bit into heavy stuff. And you can push them to strength 5 AP2, and you can push them to sustain and lethal with strats. So like strength 5 AP2 is not bad. That seems okay. Played against this in game 5. Sacrosants took an entire Tesseract Vault, the King, and 2 Doomsday Arcs to kill? What the fuck? That's insane. It's absolutely wild. They hold objectives like no other. Yeah, so we have 1 million characters. Right, so Canoness, I don't know what these enhancements do, actually. I have literally no idea what the enhancements do. Let's look. Sanctified Amulet is an Omni-Scrambler aura. A Jump Pack Canoness with Mark of Devotion, which is +1 attack while you're righteous, +2 attack, and +1 damage. Jesus. And it's the Eviscerator. So it's baseline, 3 attacks, 6/2/2, sustain 1, while you're righteous, which is basically free. She goes to 5 attacks, 6 5 attacks, 6/2/3. You can also give her lethal hits or +1 strength, or +1 strength, I could say. You get the lethal hits for freezies if you want, and then she can go to +3 attacks when she uses her once per game. So she can go to 6 attacks or 8 attacks, excuse me, at 3 flat damage if she's righteous and uses her ability. Fuck. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Fair enough, I guess. You ever want to cut a tank in half with an Eviscerator? She's really like, she's living that Darktide preacher like fantasy, right? And then we have a Hospitaller with Triptych of Judgment, which is ignore modifiers to ballistic skill, weapon skill, and hit roll characteristics. Hey, after our discussion about Firestorm Assault Force, this is so fucking funny. 15 points. It's more expensive and gives you modifiers to hit rolls only. Modifier ignoring to hit rolls only. Versus, imagine if this was 10 points and was every characteristic and test modifier full stop. Imagine. Could you imagine that, chat? Also imagine if this was 10 points and was +3 strength, +1 AP, +1 damage. What about that, you know? The comparison is fucking hilarious. That's so funny. All right, we got triple Hospitalers, Junith Arrowita to generate CP, Marvin Vol because we can Righteous out Paragon Warsuits, which is legit. We have a Battle Sister Squad, double Rhinos to carry our Sacrosaunts. Double Arcoflagellants for utility, Paragon Warsuits, 2 Repentious Squads, and a Callous Assassin. I guess you start the Repentious and the Rhinos, and then yeet them. And then you can either run the Sacrosaunts places, because they move 7, right? When they're Righteous. It's like actually pretty sweet. And then like reload with the Sacrosaunts if you want to after the Repentias are in. But the Repentia can go to when we combo them out. The Repentia do not get the ballistic skill or the weapon skill improvement because they aren't keyworded correctly. But they can go to move 8. You can obviously like faith dice charges, so their threat range is relatively long. They have sustain 1, so you can grant them lethal and sustain. And they are full hit rerolls. Hit and wound rerolls, obviously. So it's and I guess we could +1 strength and AP them. So they could be if you're punching up into T12, they could be I guess there's only 18 attacks, right? But it's 18 attacks at potentially 7, 3, 2 sustain lethal full rerolls. So if you're fishing, which honestly you probably don't even do. So you could roll like you average, I guess, 3 6s, right? And then you reroll 9 more dice. So you're averaging 4.5 6s, which are sustain lethal. And then that should just cancel out your misses. And then you're rolling, assuming you're winning on 5s, into like T12, you have 4.5 on average auto lethals, and you're rolling another 13.5 wound rolls with full rerolls. So you're probably handing them like 12 AP 3/2 damage saves. Which is good enough to like plow like 18 damage into a knight. Plus you get the attacks off of the lady too, which is not nothing with sustained lethal and full rerolls. That does sound pretty scary. It costs you TCP to do all of that, but obviously you don't. If you don't need the extra strength or whatever, then it saves you some. Also, the entire army has a 5 fail to pain? Yeah, for sure. Because of the Hospitalers. Yeah. That's a cool combo. I mean, it's expensive as fuck, right? Like, the Repentia themselves are super expensive. But if you can't set up an Overwatch on the way in, the unit will just, like, kick the shit out of you. And then if they're like, plowing your high output stuff with Sister Repentia, then you don't have the activations necessary to kill the Sacrosaunts, and then the Sacrosaunts like beat you up. And it's all cheap, right? The Sacrosaunts are 13 points a model. Hospitalers can regenerate them if they don't die. Like, little Necron energy going on over here. I kind of like the anti Deep Strike lady too. She's like a super good screen. You can put her in the back and she just chills for the entire game, or she runs forward. If you need to like screen a rapid ingress, she runs into the middle of the table, and then uses her 2+ vulnerable save. So she probably like doesn't even die to the crackback. That's a really cool like little utility piece. I super love that. Plus, you can start the Canonesses and the Rhinos as well, because you have enough space alongside the Repentia squads. And then we have a Calidus Assassin. Yeah, this list rules. What a time to be alive. I guess it... what did they change? The most recent Minotaur arm didn't change, right? But I guess like since December, they did cut down a lot of these points values, right? Because I remember when the detachment came out, I know I was like pretty skeptical of it. This was from this is from last year. That's really old. Do I have any more recent Munitorums? I don't know if I do. I have an October one. I do. Get fucked, sisters. Oh my god. What were Sacrosans? They were 2 points more per model. And Repentia were 10 more points. So this list between October and now, so in the last couple of months, drops like I'm trying to see if there's any other changes in here. Are the Paragons still the same points? Yeah. Like 100 some odd points, which is interesting. Oh, that's true. The Miracle Dice is actually probably the biggest change, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's actually probably the bigger change too. Because at that stage, that October update was when they changed Miracle Dice to generate once per turn when you lost a unit. Oh, excuse me. It was if you lost one or more units, you gained one. And then, so it was like totally untenable, right? Because you gained like one per battle round and one when you lost a unit. So you gained like 2 in a whole round outside of abilities. Maybe 3 if you were lucky. And could get one in a different way, like from a Battle Sister Squad or something. From an Imagifier. Or a Simulacrum, sorry. So it was like, yeah, it was just fucking impossible. Yeah. So you there was no way you were generating a bunch. But now you get to like, you can like throw Repentia at the problem. I guess like, here's a question. Can you hallow or can you righteous stuff that is in transports? No. Huh. So you can't, you have to disembark the Repentia first before they're selectable. But I guess that really just reduces their threat range by 1. So I guess it's not the end of the world. But you throw the Repentia in, right? They'll generate you Miracle Dice and do a bunch of damage. And then that lets you persistently buff the Sacrosants. And that helps quite a bit. Yeah. It needs less 6 Miracle Dices that you do for the Castigator builds for invulnerable saves, as most things have 4+ in 1 instead. Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, you're also not reliant on D6 damage weapons, right? Like you are with the Melta versions or the Hunter Killers. So like having a pool of high Miracle Dice like doesn't really matter. And it gives you an outlet for low Miracle Dice too, right? Like I guess you want the high Miracle Dice so you can auto the damage on the Paragon Warsuits to ensure you get kills for Morven's ability, but like you'll keep low dice and it doesn't really matter because you don't need to like do weird stuff where you just like cycle them through Morven Ball all the time because you could just like spend them on units. So that's pretty neat. I like it, chat. This list rules. This is a cool list. It's also like really interactive and like it's not just like this like weird sort of like hull spam like they were for a while. Although the Castigators got so expensive that it's hard to do that anymore. Now that wasn't the only Sisters list that did well. I had some other ones picked out and I have to go ahead and take a peek at them. There's also like a bunch of Custodes did fairly well. We have a little bit of Dark Angels if we want to talk about them too. Custodes were like all fucking over X1, by the way. What did I just do to my... Oh, okay. It's opened in a weird way. Custodians were everywhere when it came to the X1 bracket. All right, so we had a little bit of sisters do well at San Diego. It's a similar list, but it's a little bit less focused on characters. Infantry sister is always a plus. Yeah, maybe I'm biased, but I think it looks better too. The tank sisters always looked weird to me. Like, it looks like an Astra Militarum or a Space Marine army, but like the tanks are funny looking, and you're like, oh, well, that's weird. Joaquin Ruiz went X1 with Champions of Faith also. Only one Canoness, double Hospitaller Morvenball, one Sister Squad, 2 Immolators, so 2 Castigators, so a lot more shooting in this build. Triple Sacrosaunts, Dominions. So yeah, we kind of have like the a bit of the classic build, like finding its way in there. The Dominion squads for the combat squad and the Immolator, and then a scouting Immolator. So we have like an Immolator rush available if we want it. That can also start the Miracle Dice like trade early, although you don't have the Miracle Dice necessarily to fuel them on turn 1. So like, the big benefit is like when you can go in and just convert auto 6 melting gun shots on people, but it's a little bit tough to do. But that will let you potentially, like, you start to lose units early, so then you could fuel the righteous stuff later. +1 movement, I imagine, on them is pretty good, but they don't benefit from the +1 ballistic skill, right? So it's kind of less good. Paragon Warsuits, double Armiger Helvrins. This is wild. The Helvrins are kind of sweet if you have the Immolators already, because the Immolators can strip cover from stuff. If you're not worried about cover, you can run up, multi-melt to something, flip the Heavy Bulger to something else, ping cover off that, and then you have Castigators and Helvrins to shoot at it. The Castigators are running auto cannons, so they don't innately ignore cover. So the Immolators will help out there, and you have like a ton of really long range shooting that is gonna like plow through that stuff. I don't know if there's any like other synergy here. We can like give them sustained hits, I guess. Fallback, shoot, and charge is big for the Castigators. And then like you can sustain the autocannons, which is kind of cute, I guess. But I think that's about it. It's weird that so Coterie of the Conceited has a strictly superior version of this ability, which is like kind of strange. Because it allows you to use it when an attack is allocated to get a 6+ feel no pain, whereas this is only mortal wounds to get a 5+ feel no pain and a 6 against everything else. It's very strange. So in this list, we do have 2 Hospitallers. I wonder if we're actually attaching a Canoness to the third unit of Sacrosaunts. It's plain bad. Yeah. I don't understand why. I guess so many abilities are worded like this that grant you a feel no pain if you're allocated a mortal wound. Or so many stratagems. I wonder if they just and I guess it sort of speaks to the fact that in more like the more recent releases, they have kind of unlocked that when an attack is allocated technology, and I don't think they'd been doing it before then, right? Because if you think about this detachment was probably in development like in October or November. And then right after that would have been the time that they were finalizing like Death Guard and Emperor's Children. And we see a lot of attack allocation technology in those codexes. So it feels like it's kind of like one of those things where we get a little window into their like learning process about the format, because like these abilities were probably like the version of the stratagem and coterie that works when attacks are allocated was probably not developed until after this detachment was done. Which is kind of cool. But unfortunately, that does mean that this stratagem is bad. If you could 6+ Feel No Pain, your Immolators and your Castigators, this would actually be a really cool strat, right? Like there's like +2 wounds essentially on average is like pretty good if your opponent's concentrating attacks into them. With auto 6s, if you have the 6s in your pool. The big company problem where internal communication between teams is just a dream. Yeah. I mean, to some extent that's true. But you can also see that there are trends that like they'll go through. And I understand the process. Like they won't have considered that verbiage until a certain point, and then like that's all they think about. And then we get abilities like the Chaos Spawn where they're like, well, abilities where like you take a saving throw and then a thing happens like when that occurs, like either you gain a Feel No Pain or you reflect damage or something, that should be on the attack allocation step. And then every ability that like works like that suddenly becomes when the attack is allocated, because that's like what they have in their head or whatever their templating is at that time. And that's how we get abilities like the Nurgle Chaos Spawn, which is like a fucking nightmare. I have a whole video about why that's like insane. Why that particular ability doesn't really work for that timing, but like defensive abilities are good for that timing because it gives the defending player a lot of control over it, which is cool. You basically get, if your opponent's fast dice rolling, you basically get a lot of knowledge about how many saves you're taking when you choose to take to give yourself defensive buffs, which is neat. I think that's really cool. Anything that like introduces interesting decision points for them, I think is good. One thing that this detachment does well is that unlike other sister detachments, it doesn't collapse when it's rushed. If you push sisters early, they can't stop you without Morven. It's Morven time. Full rerolls. Boo boo boo. Yeah, but now they just fight you. They just do a battle. They regenerate some sisters, and then they do a big battle with you. Makes total sense. This list feels like it is a little bit more rushable because it doesn't really, besides Morven and besides the Sacrosants, it doesn't really have any like back like return shooting. I don't know. Making sure I didn't get a package yet. I'm expecting my final delivery of new technology for DreamHack today. I posted some pictures in the Discord. I got my big fancy cameras in. They're packed up in a box over in the corner, and I was playing around with them yesterday. They are fucking wild, dude. 20 times optical zoom. We're gonna look at so many miniatures. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited. Wonder if they have an English language or law major in the rules team. I don't know if they necessarily need to. They might, but a lot of it is about like the way the rules are written to be like internally consistent, right? Like that's a lot of how how templating ends up going. And to some extent, like a game language is not necessarily consistent with how English works. You know what I mean? Like game rules end up kind of being incomprehensible from an English standpoint. So it might be that they have some sort of language professional on the team, but I don't know if necessarily they need to. All right, chat. That's a good discussion about sisters. I think this new sisters composition is really sweet. It's really cool to see a little bit of innovation in this faction. Are there anything else that we want to discuss today before I hop off? I will be live later on. I don't have it in the calendar yet, but Commander Cha-Cha and I have a semifinals game or maybe a quarterfinals game for the GT, for the T5S2 GT. We're going to see if we can make it to top cut. It is an Emperor's Children mirror match, though. Which is a little stressful. I've actually never played the mirror match, and I have no idea how it goes. But we'll see. I don't know. Highlight of Maryland Open was forcing a full Zodgrod brick to charge Death Guard spawn. Oh, man. Would you like some mortal wounds, Sodcrod? How about that? Did I see the post about the Space Wolf stratagem? No. Is there like a new Warhammer community article? There is a new Warhammer community article. Let's talk about it. We can talk about that. I love talking Space Wolves. The stream yesterday was fun. I liked going through all the new Space Wolf stuff that was translated. Sagas and stratagems. Sons of Rust gets 3 brand new detachments as well as new army rules. What? Wait, so they have 2 army abilities? What the fuck? Curse of the Wolfen and Sagas. Curse of the Wolfen applies to Wolfen and Wolfen Dreadnoughts, gives you the chance to control the Rage and Frenzy. Keeps your heroes near the Wolfen units and they tame them ever so slightly, increasing their objective control above 0. Oh, is that an army rule or is that just a datasheet ability? I thought it was on their datasheet. I guess it is. I guess they call them 2 unique rules, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I thought we knew about that. It was like +1 OC for Wolfen or +3 OC for Wolfen Dreadnoughts. The Saga's army role is more interesting. Each detachment is themed around a saga the Space Wolves might tell in the feasting halls of the Fang. Grants your warriors a detachment rule as well as a saga to be completed. Do so, not only will your name and be remembered forever, you will gain an additional bonus to the detachment. So this isn't an army ability. These are not new army rules. These are detachment abilities. What are you talking about, Warhammer community? Whoever writes these articles should try playing Warhammer 40,000, the miniature game, one time. They might find that they enjoy it. Don't throw me for a loop like that. Each detachment offers a range of tools and tactics. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. My favorite unit in the RB set and Codex supplement, capitalized, trademark, TM, copyright 2025, Games Workshop, LPI or whatever. All right, so Saga of the Beast Slayer grants units targeting character, monster, or vehicle lethal hits. We're playing Tyranids now. That's fun. If your saga is completed, then you get lethal hits on any target. Oh, well, all right. I guess that's good. Strength is less of a problem with those critical hits bypassing the 2 wound roll.
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. Blessings of Corn will not change vibes, lol.
Yeah, I'm getting the same energy for sure. Yeah, from the Blessings of Corn thing. What a mess that fucking was. What was the other thing that we caught them on recently, which was like really silly? I forget. There was something else that we talked about very recently that was like they were just super wrong about it. It's weird that they wrote it like a story versus showing the preview text. Well, that's the whole idea, right? Like that's the gimmick. Skjald talks about sagas. So like a Skjald is like a storyteller, right? Like a verbal historian kind of guy. So that's the whole idea, is that they're spinning the tale of the new detachments as if it were a saga, you know. So I get it, right? It just means that we have to parse through more, which is okay. The head takers benefit from the headhunter's abilities, which allows them to pick an enemy unit at the start of the battle to apply precision and devastating wounds. Anti-synergy! You love to see it. Let's go! When their prey is destroyed, they get to select another unit. Okay. Mighty Champions give a unit that they're leaving sustained hit 1. We talked about that one. If you still don't think this will be quite enough, you can always spend a command point on the Unbridled Ferocity stratagem, granting +1 to wound in the fight phase. Is it a flat +1 to wound? It doesn't require lance. That's neat. That's a good strat. That's for Saga of the Beast Slayer specifically. High strength and armor penetration is par for the course with lumbering monstrosities. So the Helm of the Beast Slayer enhancement reduces armor penetration characteristics by 1 each time a big unit attacks your precious hunting pack. So that works on your entire unit. Your lead unit gets Armor of Contempt permanently. That's really good. Okay. Why my Terminators will have that, I suppose. Sounds good to me. We could mount these units in dedicated transports for additional survivability. I like the synergy with Hunting Wolves. Very cheap addition to the unit. They operate separately once deployed. Yeah, we did talk about this yesterday. Being near a friendly character also increases their OC by 1. That's neat. So there is a Fenrisian Wolf datasheet. But it seems like these are different. This is like an entirely different unit archetype, which is interesting. I wonder if they also benefit from the chosen like prey target. So you can have devastating wound like little wolf guys running around, which would be cool. And there are 3 excellent movement-based stratagems to help close the gap. Coordinated strike lets the unit near a battlefield edge go back into strategic reserve. So it's a little guerrilla tactics energy. Pretty nice. Impetuosity will make opponents think twice about shooting Wolf in our Blood Claws. Looks like it's a Blood Surge move. On Wolf in our Blood Claws specifically? Alright, well, I feel like they might just be dead, but who am I to judge? Thunderous Pursuit makes it harder for your enemies to keep you at arm's length, granting you a cheeky reactionary move when an enemy tries to sneak out of charge range. I wonder if that's a fallback strat. Like when you are fallen back from, you can reactive move towards them. That's a pretty classic. New army set talks about Ragnar Blackmane. He gives Blood Claws reroll wound rolls. Pretty cool. New Wolf Priest leading 20 Blood Claws. Wolf Priest can use healing bombs to bring guys back. Yeah, we know about all this stuff. +1 to wound with melee attacks. They talked about that yesterday. If you use them in the Saga of the Bold Detachment, you can use Inspiring Presence to give the character's unit lethal hits. Okie dokie. That's fine, I guess. Reroll wounds ability from Ragnar or the Wolf Priest makes the remaining hits even more reliable. That's anti-synergy, but we don't need to talk about that. That's okay. Well, you also equip the Wolf Priest with Braggart's Steel for additional strength and damage. Ooh, okay. Nice. You love to see it. I wonder if... Here's an interesting question. Do you think that these enhancements are going to be Adeptus Astartes or Space Wolf keyworded, chat? Like, do you think you're going to be able to put these on regular Space Marine captains? And also, do you think that regular Space Marine captains are going to be able to lead any of these units? Because I have a stinking suspicion the answer is no. And it might be that we have to take the unique Space Wolf characters in order to do anything, which would be unfortunate. It would make Space Wolves basically a non-compliant chapter, which maybe they should be. Like, but... Or like an entirely, like, sort of non-compliant chapter. Like, just a chapter with their own codex, essentially. Like a separate codex, almost. I do not have an affiliate link, chat, now. For model pre-orders. I appreciate you asking, though. Thank you for that. But I don't have any affiliate links. Oh, the other thing was Lord of Proxys being one of the strongest weapon profiles in the game, but it's literally a power fist. Yeah. I think that must have been it. Yeah. Fucking. Come on, man. It's strength 8-2 damage to AP 2 damage. Like every fucking intercessor sergeant has one of those. Okay, dude. This is so dumb. Guessing Space Wolf keyworded since Space Wolf characters can only join Space Wolf units, yeah. But like for the enhancements, I mean specifically, right? Because you can You could still take like theoretically like regular captains and regular units. And I'm curious to see exactly what the wording is on these. Wondering if they are spinning off the Space Wolf book to be more standalone. It does feel that way. This feels like it's basically going to be its own unique army. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these factions rolled up into their own codexes next edition. And we go back to like the 8th edition style where they just have an entirely unique selection of units. Or maybe there's here's what they should do, chat. They're not going to do this, but here's what they should do is they should write an index. So there should be a Space Marine Codex, and then codexes for non-compliant chapters. So like Blood Angels Codex, Space Wolf Codex, Dark Angels Codex. And then there's an index of like impulsors and shit. And that's what it should be called. Index, Warhammer 40,000, index, : impulsors and shit. And it's like all the generic vehicles and bullshit, right? Then they can separate that out from the Space Marine Codex, and then they can balance the Space Marine versions themselves. So like Gladiator Reapers and Lancers and all that shit. You'll have a vanilla Space Marine one for all the vanilla Space Marine guys, and then the index, you will pull all of the non-compliant chapters will pull from the index. So you can restrict the non-compliant chapters' access to specific units by just not putting them in the index, and you can balance them separately for compliant or non-compliant chapters. That's what they should do. They should use their index technology more often like they do with Chaos Demons, because it's fucking rad and cool and good. They won't do that, though. I almost guarantee it, but that's what they should do. You can have that advice for free, GW. I know somebody in there watches this live stream, and if you want it, you should do that, but you won't, so it's fine. The Astartes Garage, yeah. Yeah, it's like regular intercessor squads and like all, the 30 like bullshit random like regular guy data sheets that they always have. But then you can update those, right? Like as you change things in the Space Marine Codex, you could change them in the index or not change them and give the non-compliant chapters like slightly like depowered versions or whatever of the generic units. So they're more incentivized to take their own units. That would be cool, in my opinion. That's why they think 8-bound should be so expensive. It's 3x the strongest profile in the game. Guys, what is more powerful than a Power Fist? You're like, you guys printed laser destroyers. What are you talking about? We were just talking about that because apparently the translation is currently that the Iron Priest for Space Wolves grants a vehicle rapid fire. And we were like, we can give rapid fire to heavy laser destroyers? This is disgusting. Yuck. We're having a discussion about that in the Discord. It sounds horrible. I don't know if I like that idea. Space Wolves can dish out a lot of punishment. They can also take it. Heroic Resolve lets you select a character and subtract 1 damage to the damage of enemy shooting attacks. What does that mean? Select a character and subtract 1 from the damage of enemy shooting attacks. Targeting the character? Targeting the character's unit? Nobody knows. Against the character's unit would be neat. That's a good strat, right? -1 damage on Terminators is like actually legit, right? Terminators that are also -1 to be wounded. Wolfguard Terminators might be good. But does it only affect the character? Does it affect your opponent's entire army? Imagine if it's like target a character in your army until the end of the phase, enemy ranged attacks suffer -1 damage. Could you imagine? That'd be so fucking insane. Counter charge allows a character to charge an enemy unit at the end of their own charge phase. Oh, so it's like the Lions of the Emperor stratagem, where like you can charge Deathwing stuff at the end of the opponent's charge phase, even if they didn't charge themselves. So you can like, you have to constantly run away from them. Both of these stratagems cost 2 CP. Beyond the Fell-Handed helps you because he gives you CP, which is neat. He's also a character and can benefit from any of the detachment stratagems himself, such as Alpha Strike, which allows you to advance and charge. Let's go! Y'all! We got a stratagem for you, buddy. Go 18 inches of the charge. Woo! Or 13 inches or whatever. Let's go! And then Logan Grimnar has a CP Tax Aura. Arjack Rockfist, we talked about him yesterday as like the most ludicrously insane profile that we've seen in a million years. Arjack Rockfist is going to be in every list, chat. I think you take him even by himself and he just goes and punches tanks. Like, he's probably like 90 points and you just like rapid ingress him and then he like wanders around and kicks the shit out of your opponent's entire army. I feel like he's probably just playable. He basically has 6 attacks because he throws his hammer before he charges. So, yeah, I don't know. At 8, 2, 3 full rerolls. Seems good. I don't know. It's the 9th edition heroic. Yeah, it's Mac. That's pretty neat. That's their classic thing. Counterattacking was always the Space Wolf thing. I don't really understand how it works thematically, but they needed something to do, so they wrote the counter assault ability back in like 3rd edition, and then we're like, I guess that's Space Wolf's that thing. That's what they have. This feels like, I think, the most interesting incarnation of Space Wolves we've ever seen. I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop the hammer right now. They've taken the overabundance of silly wolf guys from like 5th and 6th edition, and they've thrown them away. They've buried all of the Storm Wolf and Wolf Storms and Wolf Pack Thunder Wolf stuff, and they've like pretended it never happened, basically. And then they've just literally made them into Space Vikings, and then focused everything on being a cool Space Viking. And then been like, that's where it is. I don't know. And it feels like they've at least like sight unseen, right? I haven't read the codex, but it feels like they've threaded the needle of being a like primarily melee, like a little bit of a hybrid army, but has primarily melee that needs a unique identity from Black Templars and Blood Angels. And the unique identity is this like saga mechanic, right? That focuses on their characters. And I think they, at least based on the previews, I think that they have achieved that. And part of that process, that development process, is getting away from like the silly wolf themed vehicles and stuff. And just being like some fucking like horrible murderers in power armor. Like, this guy does not look like a silly wolf man. That guy looks like he's gonna beat me up and take my wallet. Which I think is appropriate for the faction. So this feels like they might have nailed it, chat. Space Wolves have always been in a weird position where like they're like Blood Angels but sillier. And I feel like now they might actually be a faction. The Wolfy Wolf and Wolf Spear of the Wolfy Wolfening. Yeah. -1 damage on characters. So somebody told me that Bjorn still got half damage. I don't believe that he does. I think Bjorn has a transhuman effect now. So he's -1 to be wounded if your strength is higher than his toughness. I don't think that he has a half damage baked in, but I could be wrong because that's based on what is on like the blurry German photo of his data sheet. So it could be in there somewhere, and I just can't resolve what the rules say. So I don't believe that Bjorn has a damage reduction. He kept his Feel No Pain. He has a 5+ invulnerable save, and he's like situationally -1 to be wounded. So stacking a -1 to damage on top of that is pretty impressive. Downside is it costs you 2 CP. So I don't know how often you're going to have the CP to do that, but it definitely could be good. I feel like they might be overcommitting to that mechanic. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because it's an enhanced version of their detachment abilities, right? I like the idea because based on what they talked about here, it's like you get a bonus, and then the bonus becomes slightly better if you complete the saga, but it's not like the bonus at a base level is not good. So, like, units targeting character, monster, or vehicles getting lethal hits is a good detachment ability, right? If that is the whole ability, full stop, that's just good, right? Army-wide lethal hits against vehicles is like one of the best detachment abilities in the entire Tyranid faction, and that's a faction with particularly bad detachment abilities. So like, with particularly impactful attachment abilities. It's just a bad faction, but their detachment abilities are good. Lethal hits army-wide, huge deal. And this is a better version of that because it also affects characters. So, and then you get an extra bonus if you complete the saga. So, like, I don't know. It seems good. Where are photos always blurry? If it's not like some sort of bizarre psyop, I think that it's because they're probably compressed from sharing. Like the photos that we get are probably sent through like 5 Facebook groups and get like JPEG compressed every time. Like the high technology of the era is actually probably the reason for some of the compression, because we end up like sharing it through various like chat messengers, which all have data caps, which then like compress the resolution like again and again and again until we get like we're like five entries in telephone down the line, and the photo looks horrible. I imagine that's probably it. The pictures from the original, like the pictures from that leak, also kind of looks like they were landscape pictures that were cut up, so they're probably artificially smaller than normal anyway. Or of course, it could be a huge psyop just to get people excited. But that's a tinfoil hat conspiracy that a lot of people have. Photos were taken by a bank security camera, indeed. Anyway, chat, I think that's gonna be what we got to talk about today. Pretty good show, I think. Lots of good discussion about Adeptus Sororitas, a little bit of Salamanders in there. We have a couple cool ways. Also that Shadow Legion list, which I kind of want to play, to be honest with you. Oh, you know who? Oh, that's cute. I didn't realize this. Well, Liam Dempsey wrote this article. I love it when they do that. They also did that with Art of War because Siegler wrote an article for them. If you don't know, Liam Dempsey is a battle report guy. He does battle reports. Here he is, and he's like big Space Wolf. He's like big Space Wolf energy, as you can see. So he's a good selection if you wanna preview the Space Wolf codex stuff. But he does battle reports all the time. Look at that. Battle reports and live streams and stuff. Neat. Yeah, I didn't realize that he wrote the article. That's actually neat. Well, now I feel bad about making fun of the verbiage. Siegler known for his World Eaters for NAS? I don't know. I feel like those guys are okay to talk about whatever. Now we need for something turtle themed. Yeah, they'll come out with a new Eye to Death Deepkin army and have me write about it. I'd love to write for Warhammer Community, but I probably will never get the opportunity to do so. So I think that's probably I've made my peace with that. I think that's okay. All right, folks. So I'm gonna be live in about 5 hours or so over on Twitch. I'm playing that old Emperor's Children mirror match with Commander Cha Cha. We'll see how that goes, and then all my shit gets put in a box, and I get to go to Dallas, which is gonna be the rest of my week. So at the end of this stream. They should get me to write Tyranid previews. Oh, they don't want to do that, dude. Oh, no. Yeah, they'll get me to write an article about the new, like, Ravener unit, and I'll be like, yeah, this fucking sucks. This is bad and doesn't do anything to help this horrible trash fire of a faction. And they'll be like, why did we even ask this guy? He's a salty butthole, and nobody likes him. Which is fair. It'll be for Warcry. I'll just be war crying about Tyranids in that article. Let's go! One of the best profiles in the game, 511. An anti-infantry specialist, 401, 4 attacks. One of the strongest anti-infantry weapons in 40k. All right. So I'm gonna redirect y'all over to the DreamHack stream. I will see you there in a couple days, folks. Otherwise, I think this will be it for me this week because the rest of my week is going to be traveling and setup. So please go check me out over there. Stay tuned for when I'm going to be live on Angry Joe's show on Monday as well. I have to check in with them for what time they want to go live with that. And yeah, I will. See you over there. Cheers.